Good morning. Glad that you're back again. We have Sophia, my little baby, the multi-poo, and this is Jagger. He's a rough coat collie, just like Lassie, years and years ago. He's my PTSD dog. So that's what we're talking today, about PTSD. So I for sure wanted Jagger to be here. And Sophia wanted to join in too, so that's okay. So when I was young, between when I was born to age 10, that's when my touching sexual abuse happened. And from 10 to 18 in my own home was when the non-touching sexual abuse happened. And that's where my trauma came from. And that's where the PTSD came from. And that's where the 70 after effects from sexual abuse came from that I had. Now back in the days, 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they didn't really know a lot about the after effects of sexual abuse and how many there were. But they've come a long way in that area. And that's the information that I like to spread, because a lot of things like depression, anxiety, eating disorders, suicidal thoughts, all these I could go on. And in one video I did list all 100 after effects. So take a look at that if you suffered the same thing that I had. Now PTSD can come from so many different places. A lot of people that are sexually abused have it, people in war, and auto accidents, and trauma can come from many different things. But I had PTSD and I didn't know what it was called, because I wasn't diagnosed with it until I was 40. So in my teens, 20s, and all the way through my 30s, I dealt with it by hiding and avoiding anything that would make me feel terrified and have panic attacks. And so that didn't work very well for me, but it's all that I knew what to do. And so today I wanted to read a list of 10 of the best healing methods that I used for post-traumatic stress disorder. And I would say right now I'm about 95% healed. I used to go everywhere with Jagger, and now he doesn't go with me. He's just my fun dog. So let's start with the list. The last one is the best one. I'm going to save that for last. So listen to them all. The first one is, and these I learned these all in therapy. Once I got to a very, very good cognitive therapy behavioralist therapist. And he really helped me in this area. And so the first one is diaphragmatic breathing. Whenever I'm in a scary situation and I feel some panic and anxiety rising up, I do my breathing. And I've explained this in my other videos. It's taking 4 deep breaths in and releasing 4 breaths and doing it in a very slow manner. And you can look it up on the internet and follow along. But it's a way to slow down your blood pressure, to lower your heart rate and lower your blood pressure. And that keeps you from having a panic attack. And that calms the whole body. So I haven't had a panic attack, I bet, in 20 years, because I use that whenever I feel the rising up of the panic coming in me. It just works like a charm. Second one is progressive muscle relaxation. It's another way that calms your whole body. And when you do these 2 things, it's the total opposite of being in a traumatic situation. Because trauma, you're just filled with fear and anxiety, but these 2 things are calming you down, that you are super relaxed. And that's the key to post-traumatic stress disorder, is to be calm. That also, I've done videos on that, and everything I'm talking about is in my books. Especially book number 2, Contamination to Transformation, is about PTSD and what it's like. It's good for people that don't have it too, in case you know of somebody and you just can't relate to what they're saying. I've tried to explain it in a way so you can really absorb what they're feeling and thinking. So I hope that helps. Create a safe place in your mind. I didn't have a safe place in my home when I was a little girl because of the incest. And so I was taught to create a safe place in my mind where if things around me were chaotic, I could go there and I could picture that babbling brook on the next to that green slopey grass area with flowers and a swing, and I could imagine that in my mind, and if something was terrifying me in real life, I could go there and just feel relaxed and do my deep breathing and do my progressive muscle relaxation. So these are keys to take you away from the PTSD and the trauma and bring you into a calm, wonderful situation. Next one is catching the maladaptive thoughts in my head. It's very, very interesting to see these thoughts that run wild through your head. My biggest one was, you are never going to get better. That was the biggest one for me, that when I caught that and corrected that and said, well, that's garbage. Of course I'm going to get better. I'm going to be healed. But there's all these different thoughts, and Satan loves to send this through your head to discourage you because he's the bully. But you catch these thoughts, you write them down, and then you correct them, and you say, I may have had some problems in the past, but now and in the future, my life is going to be fantastic. And again, these are all in my books that I explain it totally. What you say is what you get. If you say, I'm a failure, I can't leave the house, I'm housebound, I'm never going to get better, all these kind of things, what you say is what you get. You're creating your own destiny, and you have to be very careful. You have to say things that are positive and good. In the past, I had panic attacks. In the past, I had PTSD. But today, everything is going to be better, and my life is going to be glorious in the end, and it will be. I learned to face my fears daily and weekly and post them on a calendar. Whatever I was afraid to do, which was everything, I was housebound. Whether it was going to a movie theater with all kinds of people in the audience, I would make a note. Okay, Monday I'm going to a movie theater. Tuesday I'm going to a mall. It was hard for me to leave the house and then go in a mall with all these different people walking around. And when you have PTSD, you are hyper vigilant, and you see all these people, and there's a need to be watching everyone because somebody could hurt you, which is an irrational thought because, yes, my parents hurt me in my own home, but when I went to a mall, there was nobody there that was going to hurt me. And so I had to correct those thoughts, but I had to get out there, be in the situation, and just absorb the whole thing, but do my diaphragmatic breathing and my progressive muscle relaxation and correcting my thoughts. It's a whole wonderful process to go through. And I would do that many times a week. And one thing I couldn't do was to look up into the high ceilings of the mall. It just made everything start spinning. And that isn't with me anymore. I went to the rodeo yesterday, and in this big, grand place, and I looked up and I thought, praise the Lord, I don't have that problem anymore. The next thing is everything I do is practice. When I would go to the mall or anything that I stepped out to do, it was practice. If I had a panic attack, if I got afraid, it didn't matter. It's only practice. I wasn't getting a grade. It was just stepping out there and facing my fears. And that's all what this is about. So be kind to yourself. Don't treat yourself like your very, very best friend and say, you did a good job. And tomorrow we're going to do it again. And whatever happens is perfect. The next thing is when you're speaking, speak slowly. I found when I was in group with all the other ladies and telling how my week went, I was just talking really fast. And that makes your heart rate go up and your blood pressure rise. And so try to learn to talk in a calm and soothing way. It helps your body to stay relaxed. If you worry about a lot of things, create a worry time. Dr. Nash told me, okay, at 7 p.m., throughout the day, write all the things that you were worried about, and then from 7 to 7:30, you can sit down and actually worry about them, which always made me laugh because it's, it's kind of funny, but you can control your thoughts and what you're thinking. And I used to worry about going to Christmas with all the relatives 360 days before Christmas. I was that terrified of leaving the house and being with people, or getting my eyes checked for the driver's license. 2 years ahead of time, I worried about that. And so all these worries, going and meeting the teachers for my kids in school and their teacher conferences, I worried about that. Leaving the home, being with people. And so those are the things that I had to write down and worry. But then at 7:30, I was done. I didn't allow myself to worry anymore. I had to eat healthy, no caffeine, no sugar, because that gets you hyped up and leads you closer to traumatic feelings and nervousness and panic attacks and all that. So eating healthy is very important. I needed to discover a passion in my life, so I wasn't always looking at all these scary things around me. I would take up acrylic painting or drawing or photography or yoga or something that I could really get into and say, I enjoy this, I look forward to it, and I'm not thinking about all the other things in my life that are difficult. And believe me, there was a lot of things. Take the spotlight off yourself. When I would go to the mall and be walking around, I made a point to not have the light on me saying, what is she thinking? Is she looking nervous? Is she gonna have a panic attack? Oh no. But take that spotlight and put it onto other people. Oh, look at how that person is standing. What a nice outfit she's wearing. Look out there. Don't be looking in here, observing yourself constantly, because that's when you get perfectionistic and say, oh, you're not doing that very well. You should be looking this way. You're looking nervous, Don't be looking at yourself like that. Be happy in the moment. I had to learn that even though I wasn't healed, and I had all these after effects from sexual abuse, I still needed to be happy and thankful in the moment, and not to always be looking in the future for when the depression was totally gone, or the suicidal thoughts were totally gone, and all these things. I had to be happy just where I was at. I had to practice that, and that took some time. But that was an important part of healing the PTSD. Removing perfectionism. Dr. Nash told me there isn't anything in the world you can do, Marilyn, that's perfect. You can't comb your hair perfect, you can't brush your teeth perfect, so just let that go. And he says, in fact, go home and tilt a picture a little bit. And your dining room table, I bet all the chairs are sitting perfectly around it. He says, just kind of move them so they're sitting a little askew. And he said, this will help you to not have to try and live up to such high expectations for yourself. I came from a family, a mom, there was nothing I could do right in her eyes, and I would try so hard. And so I needed to learn to not be a perfectionist. Share the secret when you're out and about that you have anxiety, you have panic attacks. It's hard for you to sit and have your hair cut when you're sitting in that chair and all you want to do is run. Tell her, this is what happened to me. This is how I feel. It's like popping that balloon of fear and anxiety. When you share the secret, it calms you down. And so many times the person that you're talking to will say, my mother has that, my sister has that, you know, I have that, I know what you're talking about. And it's always been a good experience for me. That is a huge tip for PTSD, and one that and that's part of this group on videos, is just talking about it. It really helps me, and I hope it helps you. Exercise has always been very, very good for me. When I was very anxious, I'd get on the treadmill, or else I would take a walk around the block for a mile or two with my dogs, and I always felt better when I came back in, always. And this is something I wrote down. Don't expect to be different if you keep doing the same thing. So all these different things I named, try and do them all if you do suffer from PTSD. And just know that you will change. It might not be overnight, or it might be. You might get a miracle, like I've had so many. But just step by step, take a chance. Step out of your house. Write on your calendar, I'm gonna face this fear on this day, this fear on this day. Because that's the way you make it all go away. And everything I was afraid of, I had to do that. I had to step out, face that fear, and that's how my recovery happened. And the last and the most important thing, and this doesn't have anything to do about religion, but when I said, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, come into my life and help me to heal, excuse me, from all the after effects of sexual abuse. That's what happened. I just opened up my heart, and just by asking, they will come in, and life will totally be different for you. It's not like you are alone anymore. You aren't fighting this battle alone. You have the universe with you. And that's when all of my suicidal thoughts went away. I had those thoughts from the 5th grade every single day until I prayed that prayer. Oh, how I wish I would have known this information as a teenager. It would have been so helpful. But just ask Jesus into your heart. He will come, and never doubt it. So I hope this helped you, and keep the comments coming in. I love hearing them, and just make it a great day. Bye-bye.